You yourself decided before you went to university, having never drunk, that you were going to remain teetotal. But I remember you came to me and said, I'm very worried about the social pressure. So you can describe the difference between yourself and what I've just described.
I remember getting Snapchat group chat groups where you could buy tickets for big drinking events, big nightclubs, parties. That was the hype. That you were getting hyped up for the Freshers week, which would be lots and lots of drinking. And I guess it was heightened because of the pandemic, where people spend their Freshers indoors in their rooms and very low key. So maybe
you went the year after.
I went the year after, so it was really throwing all of that normal Freshers experience down our throats of drinking and partying. And I hadn't drank up to that point, but I thought, is this kind of the rite of passage of, like, it was a small thought of, like, is there anything I could get from drinking? And then you recommended Alan Carr's Easy Way to Control Alcohol. But Alan Carr says right at the beginning, that was just a way of getting people to buy the book. It's not about controlling alcohol. It's about stopping alcohol consumption. And a lot of what Alan Carr says in the book is quite radical. And if you say it to people, people think, well, you're crazy. Like, I've talked to people about it. And I say, alcohol is poison. There's no difference between an alcoholic and a normal drinker. It's a slippery slope down into being an alcoholic. All these things are quite kind of controversial ideas to, if you to say that to a normal drinker. I'm drinking poison. I don't need this. It's harming me. It's a slippery slope towards, it's just a slippery slope towards more and more kind of intoxication, maybe dangerous behavior, misery. There's all very, maybe debatable ideas, but they're very kind of strong. Yeah. And that's what I learned from that book.
I think one of the key things that people don't realize, and I admire you for not drinking, and I said, if I had my life again, I wouldn't go near it. I'm still, I still drink, but it's, I believe some hardened alcoholics would say I'm deluded, that I think that I'm, I drink once a week or once every 2 weeks, and because I still find it pleasurable. I probably am going to quit, but at the moment I still kind of enjoy it. But I think the most important thing to realize is, particularly when you're young, having anxiety about meeting people, because a lot of it is a lubricant, isn't it, for social interaction.
So that was the thing, because I, at sixth form, I had severe social anxiety, and going into university, it was almost like, this is my chance to prove to myself that I can talk to people and be confident. And I felt like drinking would just be a shortcut to social interaction I didn't want to take. I wanted to see if I can develop those social skills without that lubricant. And usually, most people at university, they drink in order to break the ice and get into feeling close and feeling as a group, and feeling like you found your place at university through drink. So I guess when you don't drink, it's a bit more of it's a longer journey to find the right people, and you're not just in groups. You have to kind of like pick people a little bit more.
Indeed, and I think that the muscle that I probably until my sort of like late 20s, 30s, I had never exercised the muscle of, in a sober way, trying to interact with another human being. Because again, from a Darwinian point of view, we are these apes. And we have evolved to have a slight fear and trepidation of meeting strangers. That's a natural thing. Of course, that stranger isn't going to kill us, stab us, or try and nick our home, generally. But to have a slight anxiety when you meet somebody you don't know is hardwired in our brain. Obviously, we can teach ourselves to overcome that. But if you're dousing yourself with alcohol, and you just immediately, as you say, shortcut into, let's be friends, let's be crazy together, you're not developing that ability to talk to people. And I didn't have that ability because I'd always been drinking.
Well, I definitely see social skills as a real skill you've got to learn. It doesn't matter who you are. Maybe you're shy or socially anxious or confident. If we were all confident and good at chatting to people, then we wouldn't be drinking as much. So it's obvious that young people do have a bit of insecurity with socializing because they use it as a lubricant. Maybe they don't see it as that. People see it as, it's just a bit of fun. But really it is just to lubricate social
But
conversation.
watching you push through from being totally socially anxious and having to, go and see a therapist, and it was a really difficult time. I thought, my God, if he discovers drink, he could easily just really discover it and go, wow, that has solved all of my problems. I'm suddenly confident. I've suddenly can speak to people I don't know. I can be effusive, and you can talk to girls more, and everyone's doing it. You're not left out because everybody's doing it. But I was very pleased that you yourself managed to avoid that and became actually more determined. No, I'm gonna solve my anxiety about talking to other people on my own without taking a shortcut, which actually isn't a shortcut. It ends up making it worse. I mean, alcohol basically doesn't do anything for you whatsoever, apart from, tries to kill you and stealing all. It's like having a friend that's trying to kill you and steal all your money, and on numerous occasions humiliate you and generally isolate you. I mean, that's the irony of it. You think that you're being a part of the crowd and you're being one of the gang, but the more you drink, the more isolated you can become. And so the people that you're drinking with gradually might grow up and go, actually, and they stop drinking. So then you can end up just sitting on your own in a pub going, where is everybody? Because they've all basically realized that you can't function. You can't really function if you're drinking heavily. You just can't.
There are two thoughts. There's two things I want to say, but okay. So basically, you do feel a bit lonely, in the sense of when I was going to my campus to do my work, usually like on a Monday or something, the chats would be always about the nightclubs, the nights out people had, and so the conversations revolve around the events that happened while drinking, all the craziness, all the shenanigans, and it's kind of like this alternate world, this different world that I was not part of at all. Going out partying, nightclubs, drinking, pubs, groups, like it was It seemed like most people. I mean, I know there were a few people who were playing board games, but most people, their social life revolved around drinking in my course. So that was the conversation, and it immediately shuts you out because you can't relate to it. I have no relation to it because I've never gone to a proper nightclub.
Yeah, and you don't even like noisy pubs, or you don't like loud music.
I don't
which
like
is
loud
also
music.
You couldn't go along with them and enjoy yourself.
If they say, oh, you can still enjoy it sober, I'm like, no, because I hate that loud music, and I bet you do too. But the drink maybe makes it less. I mean, I really don't believe that people really enjoy loud, awful, bombastic music. Music. I'm using that term.
My experience of
noise.
nightclubs when I was at university is basically screaming and shouting at people and not being able to have any kind of conversation. So just sort of drinking your way through it.
So my thing is, why do young people need such overstimulation? Because the nightclub is loud noise, loud, bright flashing lights, loads of people screaming, shouting, talking, drinking heavily. Such overstimulation from all angles. Probably lots of smell as well, sweat, and
you can't possibly get to know anybody in that situation. So people go to get off with each other, I guess. But you're getting off. You can't be getting to know somebody. You might be getting off with someone without knowing them. But that in itself is a fairly depressing experience.
I kind of just see it as escapism completely. Escaping from yourself.
So you had to do a lot of you had to do a lot of which is what if I'd at university and I'd spent more time sitting on my own, literally pulling myself together. I if I'd had somebody when I was your age, 19, 20, 21 at college, just that phrase, pull yourself together, because my mind is everywhere. I want to be there. I want to be with that person. I want to be doing this. I want to be getting out. How do I get out of it? How do I get out of reality? That was all I was thinking about. What can I smoke? What can I drink? I moved on to cocaine and ecstasy. I was doing acid. Anything I could get my hand on in order to give me the next escape from reality. And it was building and building and building. Whereas yourself, people would say, well, you're not making the most of university because you're spending a lot of time being who you are, which was solitary. But that is far preferable to what I was doing, I would suggest, because the loneliness and the anxiety I got from my use of drugs was a far more terrible experience than what you were going through, because you were learning how to be peaceful on your own, which is building a skill.
Yeah, I did have conversations with people about drinking, and because I don't really hold back, I say, "Oh, I don't drink because I've read this book and blah 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 blah." Instead of just saying, "I don't really like drinking," that would have kind of closed it because you're just not into it. But because I actually gave reasons for why I don't drink, I got into conversations, and I remember getting to a conversation where I really had to kind of justify why I don't drink. And you never have to justify why you don't take heroin or cocaine or that kind of thing or anything else. That's just like the default. But I feel like if you don't drink, that's a novelty, and you have to explain why you don't.
When alcohol is 10 times more, I think it's 10,000 people died from alcohol-related diseases in the UK in 2024, and I think for heroin it was about 1,400. So
look at those statistics. That's why I don't drink.
It's cognitive dissonance on a global level. The whole alcohol thing with it. The drinks industry is just. If you talk about what is evil, I mean, we've got the military-industrial complex, obviously, but, the drinks industry marketing a killer poison, particularly to young people who should no way be drinking it. I mean, you shouldn't be drinking at least until you're in your mid-20s. That's now, I think, scientifically accepted as a fact. Don't go near it because your brain's still forming. So